Report of the New World Order, Bishop Grady, letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Files News report. So, yesterday we finally opened up the impeachment trial, the third impeachment trial ever to take place in U.S. history. And after almost a 13-hour like session of back and forth between the legislators, senators finally voted on rules that would actually be the guidelines for the impeachment trial. The Republicans rejected like 11 amendments that were presented by Democrats that included like bringing like witnesses and issuing out subpoenas for the trial, including one that would have had former National Security Advisor John Bolton testify. So clearly they were trying to have the impeachment trial run without any witnesses, as I told y'all previously, but now it's solidified. We're only 1 month removed from when the House officially voted to impeach Donald Trump. And since then, there's evidence that has continued to come out, but it's unsure if it will even be presented in this impeachment trial. Just last night, Tuesday, right before midnight, there were like almost 200 heavily redacted pages released by the Office of Budget and Management and Budget that actually were related to the aid that was withheld from Ukraine. Green War and Graduation. The New World Order, Bishop Grady, letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Files News report. So over in Spain, actually, and I told y'all recently on how they formed a new leftist coalition government that they got going on over there, and there were some things that would be wins for the people that were going to be enacted, including fights for workers' compensation, as well as fights against climate change. So now they've actually declared officially a climate emergency and are working on sending legislation to their parliament within the next 100 days. Now, the legislation is going to be designed at basically preventing the most devastating impacts, the most catastrophic impact of climate change, and is actually working towards making Spain a zero carbon emission state by 2050. The climate activists still say, if people would have those aims, that's not enough, but at least they're moving in the right direction. Let's see what happens. The climate crisis is actually the main topic in the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland. Trump actually called climate activists prophets of doom. But teenage Swedish climate activist Greta Thunberg responded to that, saying, like, in case you haven't noticed, the world is on fire. And that ain't even no cap. Green War and Graduation. For the New World Order, Bishop Grady, letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Files News report. Make sure you sign that petition, y'all. Get Donald Trump off Twitter. Find the change.org link in the video description if you're watching this on YouTube or in my Instagram account, GradyGrant716 bio, where you'll see the link and it'll take you to the change.org website, where it has the petition, lays out exactly why you should be removed from the platform with irrefutable evidence. He continues to lie to us. He continues to put us and our people and our troops in danger. Like, it has to stop. Now, on to the news though. Over in Australia, they're still dealing with like ridiculous, uncontrollable wildfires, and they actually issued out a statement telling everybody to stay in their homes today, due to the fact that, specifically in Sydney, in the capital, due to the fact that there are fires that are currently approaching the Canberra airport. Now, these wildfires have so far killed at least 29 people and 1 billion animals, but they've also released massive amounts of greenhouse gas emissions, so which also fueled climate change. So, Green War and Graduation. The New World Order, Bishop Grady, letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Files News report. So over in the northwestern province of Idlib in Syria, this is considered one of the last rebel-held, anti-government held territories in Syria. For that reason, there is a Russian-backed Syrian government offensive that's been going on this place for quite some time now. But Russian-led airstrikes yesterday actually had contributed to the murder of 40 people. And residents are saying 8 of those people were children. Green War and Graduation. The New World Order, Bishop Grady, letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Files News report. So over in Lebanon, I've been telling y'all about the anti-government protests that have actually been going on over there for months. It actually forced, these protests are against corruption and the economic inequality that exists in Lebanon, and I guess pretty much anywhere it seems like. But actually these protests had actually forced former Prime Minister of Lebanon, Saad Hariri, to resign last October. But they're still going on. People want an independent prime minister and all of that. Well, a new government has actually been formed in Lebanon, and the people are not having it. So Prime Minister Hassan Diab actually became the prime minister, and he actually appointed 20 cabinet members that he's saying are independent, but experts and protesters are saying they still represent the ruling political elite. So they're not having it. Protests are expected to continue. Green War graduation. Report out of the world, though, the Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News report. So a federal judge in McAllen, Texas actually upheld the deportation of a Honduran woman and her two younger daughters at ages 18 months and 6 years old. So the lawyers were actually pleading that they not be deported because they weren't in the daughters were actually in no condition to be deported, as they were found to be very ill. But the deportation happened anyway. They were deported to Guatemala under the Safe Third Country Agreement that was established between former president of Guatemala, Jimmy Morales, and current president of the U.S. Celebrity and Chief Donald Trump. Now, this actually has led to there being over 200 Hondurans and 50 Salvadorans deported to Guatemala so far, who came to the U.S.-Mexico border seeking asylum. Keep this in mind, as also the Mexican National Guard was called basically, you could say it's somewhat assaulting, a lot of push and shoving, and tear gas being thrown on a Honduran migrant caravan that actually came to the Guatemala-Mexico border, and the Mexican government's efforts to keep them away from the U.S.-Mexico border. Green War and graduation. What out in the world, though, the Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News report. So over in Guantanamo Bay, there's actually a trial going on against the so-called architect of the CIA's torture program, a psychologist by the name of James Mitchell. Now, James Mitchell is on trial for the what you would call enhanced interrogation method, which is just a euphemism for torture, for running that against 5 9/11 suspects. Now, James had actually, along with his partner, Dr. Bruce Jessup, they were paid $81 million to help construct the CIA's torture program, by having no prior experience or anything like that. James Mitchell back in 2014 actually admitted to waterboarding Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, who was actually somebody who was a suspect, and he was actually waterboarded 183 times in total. That's when they put a cloth over your head, pour water over your breathing passages. So as you feel like you're drowning even when you're not, and you can actually document it. But that's what's going on. Green War graduate. The Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News report. So over in I won't say over in Saudi Arabia, but the actual owner of Amazon, which actually owns the Washington Post, the CEO Jeff Bezos, the Guardian reports that his phone was essentially hacked by Saudi Arabia after the Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman in 2018 had actually sent an infected video file to Jeff Bezos' phone, and then hours afterwards there were large amounts of data extracted from Bezos' phone. Now, keep this in mind that in owning essentially the Washington Post reported extensively on the murder of one of their journalists, Jamal Khashoggi, back in late 2018, when Khashoggi's body was chopped up at a Saudi consulate in Turkey and then carried out of there. And they said the CIA said the hit was ordered by bin Salman, but the Saudi Arabia, they actually deny having hacked Bezos' phone. But what does that mean? Green War and graduate. The world, though, the Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News report. So Iranian student, 24-year-old Mohammed Shahab Dagani Hussein. This is somebody that actually had a valid student visa and was supposed to attend Northeastern University. And upon arriving to Boston's Logan International Airport on Sunday, he was actually denied entry into the U.S. and then deported back to Iran. Now, everybody knows about the beef that's been brewing between the United States government, because they ain't got shit to do with me and my folks, and Iran over there. But keep in mind that this actually is happened even despite court order by a Massachusetts judge of an emergency stay of removal. And so they still deported him. This lets you know what times we in and how the Trump administration is moving with this immigration shit. Green Wall and graduation. The New World Order, Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News Report. So over in Phoenix, Arizona, you had 19-year-old Dion Humphrey. This is somebody who has a developmental disability, as well as he's a sickle cell patient. On January 10th, he was mistaken for his older brother by police. His older brother having an arrest warrant. And being mistaken for his brother, the police went and shot him in the chest with a rubber bullet. Then go on to tackle him and, step on him and beat him up and all of that shit, whatever. So now Holmes is in the hospital, actually like struggling to breathe, having, these burning sensations on his body and all of that. All from the police locking him up over a mistaken identity situation. And for somebody that clearly has a developmental issue, I think that's it's excessive, and a lot of people are saying that, including the family of Humphrey, who's actually demanding that those officers be fired. Green Wall and graduation. News reporter of the New World Order, Bishop Grady, letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News Report. So make sure you check out that only Instagram mixtape that ever hit the market, man, at @still_I_grind. That's my shit. It's the prelude to my Still I Grind album that's on the way. But this right here, you're talking about having posts of me snapping on other people's beats, song mode shit, giving you bars. Those even got political commentary. And there's a YouTube link that allow you to watch the mixtape all the way through. 24-minute runtime. Straight heat, man. Please watch my mixtape. Now check this out though. Over in Brazil, the federal prosecutors over there actually filed a criminal complaint against journalist Glenn Greenwald. This is the same guy that actually brought us the story of the NSA and Eric Snowden while he was at the Guardian. Well, having started The Intercept, which is also has some groundbreaking stories, they put out a story called Secret Brazil Archive that basically details and provides some damning insight into the sweeping anti-corruption probe that actually placed former president of Brazil, Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, behind bars and made way for current right-wing president Jair Bolsonaro to actually be in power. So you're talking about da Silva being like one of the most known political prisoners in the world, essentially, and him having been behind bars but released recently. But we'll see what this turns out to be. Probably mentions Operation Car Wash. It was the same judge that had actually prosecuted and put da Silva behind bars ended up being on the cabinet in the government for Bolsonaro. So, coincidence? I think not. We won graduation. The World Order, Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News Report. So, experts at the World Health Organization are actually meeting today to determine whether they are going to announce a global health emergency due to the spread of the coronavirus. This is a virus that actually started and emerged last month in Wuhan, China, and has since spread to 4 other countries, including the U.S. Now, this decision on whether it's going to be a global health emergency comes as the Center for Disease Control and Prevention actually, found that there was one person in the U.S. actually killed from the coronavirus. So far, 9 people have actually been killed in China from this virus. We'll see what this turns out. Green Wall graduation. In the World Order, Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News Report, man. This does apply to some black people. Definitely a lot of y'all white folks. Food and Drug Administration of the United States, they've actually issued a warning on sunscreen, telling people to essentially be mindful that there are 7 chemicals in sunscreen that actually can be absorbed directly into the bloodstream. And these chemicals exceed the levels that they're even allowed to be in order for human safety, and they have not been fully tested at the end of the day. So FDA is calling on more the sunscreen industry to actually conduct more research and testing into the matter, but they have not ordered people to stop using sunscreen. But that's really happening. Thank God, they say melanated people, they say we're supposed to use sunscreen too, but y'all know we ain't really got to like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know how your skin is still glowing and still be able to absorb all that vitamin D. Like, so, our people might be alright, but the rest of y'all, all my followers ain't black, so the rest of y'all might just want to be on guard for that shit. Green Wall and graduation. The New World Order, Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News Report. So make sure y'all check out my mixtape, man, @still_I grind. You can find that it's the only Instagram mixtape out. You know what I mean? A whole page dedicated to it. You got merch, you got political and social commentary, and you got, most importantly, you got bars, you got songs, you got all types of flow, clever shit, fire shit. A lot of y'all rappers could take notes, man. But it's also a link that could take you to the YouTube page, the YouTube video, where you could just watch it straight through. 24-minute time is straight heat, man. Now over into news. You have the Boeing 737 MAX airplanes that have officially stopped production, finally. Mind you, these planes worldwide have been grounded and since March, following the crashes of an Ethiopian airline and an Indonesian Lion Airline plane that had crashed and killed all people on board, killing a total of 346 people. And there were internal emails released recently that showed that the people on the inside of Boeing were actually like joking about the production of this shit. Like nobody really trusting the process of the airline or whatever. So that's it for the 737 Maxes. Green War graduates. The New World Order, Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News Report. So shout out to everybody in Oakland, like the Monster housing folks and other people who've been on the ground fighting for these things like this to pass. So the Oakland City Council actually passed a fair chance access to housing ordinance, which basically will prohibit landlords from asking about the criminal history of tenants. And the new measure will actually prevent them from even being able to deny people access to homes based on their criminal history. So Berkeley City is expected to pass a similar ordinance next month. So, you know what I mean? But that's something that needs to be countrywide. That type of discrimination, because you have a criminal history, you're not able to live in a house. You know what I'm saying? But that's what it is. Green War graduate. What up, the New World Order, Bishop Grady letting y'all know what the fuck going on for this Black Fox News Report. So for the first time in its 253-year school history, Rutgers College has actually named an African American as the president of the university. Jonathan Holloway, formerly the provost for Northwestern University and was a dean at Yale College, and now he's going to be running Rutgers Youth. So hopefully he'll make a move that'll bring their sports program back to prominence. I'm from Jersey, so I know that shit, but shout out to him, though. Green Wall graduate.